Hello and good morning. This is the Breville Barista Touch Impress, model BES881. This is actually my personal machine. I've been using it for the past 8 months, I want to say, 6 to 8 months. Every day I'm making one coffee, one latte. It's served me really well, but I'm selling it. I've upgraded to the Oracle Jet here on the left. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's in great condition. Still under warranty. It's got all the accessories. It's got the original box. So I'm sure whoever's getting it is going to be a very happy person. In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating the machine, so testing all the functions for you, making a latte, and also just teaching you a couple things about coffee making in case this was your first coffee machine. So I like to warm up every coffee machine I use before I use it. So this model, this generation of boiler, actually doesn't need any time to warm up. So when you turn it on, within 5 seconds it's going to prime the pump, prime the boiler, and it should be ready to go. Actually, it takes longer for the system to boot up rather than the boiler being ready. I just need to clean the group head. When the machine is on, it doesn't mean that it's hot. So the boiler can turn on and turn off really quickly to heat up and make coffee and make steam. But that doesn't mean everything else in the pipeline is warm. So now this is the portafilter. It's room temperature. This is the cup. It's room temperature. So if you make coffee straight away, you can make coffee straight away, but the coolness of these two components will cool down your shot temperature. And your shot may taste cold. It may taste also a bit sour because it's getting cold from these components. So I like to warm everything up by running 1 or 2 blank shots. So a blank shot means you run a shot of water into the cup, through the portafilter, without any coffee. So very simple. You just press the shot button, make sure your handle is in place, make sure your cup is underneath, and then let it run. You can do that once or twice. It doesn't just warm up your components, it also acts like a bit of cleaning cycle. So it will flush any residual coffee grounds or oils inside the group head, inside the basket, and the portafilter itself. So you can do that once or twice, and it's gonna treat you well. After you do that, put the cup aside, grab your portafilter and dry it. You want it to be dry before you grind the coffee. I'm gonna do a double shot of espresso, and then I'm gonna add some milk later to make it into a latte. This is a double shot basket. Your machine comes with 3 other baskets, so 4 in total. 2 that are pressurized and 2 that are single wall non-pressurized. The pressurized variety are for cheaper beans or for those who don't want to mess and tinker with the settings. So if you don't want to worry too much about what grind size to use, then probably the double wall pressurized baskets are better for you. But if you like to play with the settings and if you want the best cup of coffee that you can get out of this machine, then the single wall is the one you want to use. This is the one that most people use. It's the one that they use in the cafes as well, actually. So it's the better one in my opinion. It's also easier to clean. So once you finish making coffee, it's a gentle tap into the bin and it'll just fall off. Whereas with the double basket pressurized baskets, you have to bang it really hard to get the coffee grounds off after you finish, which is not nice. Yeah, so I've done my warm up. Now let's grind the coffee. So this takes about 18 to 19 grams of coffee. I can actually verify that with my scale if you want. I might do that just for curiosity. Chuck this here. turn on my scale, make sure it's on 0, and then select the double basket size. Once you select the double basket size, it'll stay there. I'm changing it now because I used to use the single wall basket, single cup baskets. All right, now because I haven't made a coffee in a couple of weeks on this machine, I'm just going to purge the coffee grounds. So I'm going to grind for about 3 or 4 seconds, and I'm going to turn it off. And then get rid of those. The reason you purge is because the machine retains about 3 or 4 grams inside, or maybe 2 or 3 grams inside. So there's a bit of old coffee in the chute and under the grinder blades. So whenever you change bag of beans, whenever you keep the machine unused for a while, whenever you change the grind size here, you want to purge. So purge means just refresh the beans, get rid of the old, whatever's in there, and start with the new beans fresh. I'm going to be using grind size 22. That's the one I used last, and it was okay in my memory, from memory. The grind size dial here on the left, this is going to dictate how fine or how coarse the coffee grounds come out. So a very small grind size on this machine means a very fine coffee particle, and a very large grind size means a large particle. You can also remember that a larger grind size will give you a faster shot, a faster brew speed, and a smaller grind size will give you a slower brew speed. Why is this important? I think there's a recipe in espresso that you can follow to make sure your coffee tastes nice in the first place. So a good espresso recipe is a 2-to-1 ratio. That means for every gram you grind, you want double that in your cup in 30 seconds, give or take. So if we have 18 grams in here of ground coffee, when we make the coffee in the cup, we want it to be around 36 grams, even up to 40 is fine for simplicity's sake. So 40 grams in the cup, and that should take place in about 30 seconds. If my grind size happens to be too large, what will happen is my shot will be very quick. I'll get my 40 gram shot in only 10 or 15 seconds, and it probably won't taste great. It won't have good body and texture. On the other hand, if my grind size is too small, what I'll notice is that my 40 gram shot will take forever to come out. May take 50 seconds, may take a minute, it may not even come out. So if my grind size is too fine, so if I go all the way to number 1 now, I'm probably not going to get any output because the coffee grounds are very fine together. They're packed really tight, and no water can go through. So you don't want it to be too tight, so you don't want the grind size to be too small, and you don't want it to be too loose, meaning you don't want the grind size to be too large. And there's no magic number that I can give you to tell you what's the correct grind size for your beans with this machine. Every bean is going to have different settings. Even every machine is going to have different settings. So a lot of people ask me like, oh, what grind size do I use for this bean? It's impossible to say, because if I get 2 brand new machines side by side and I get 2 brand new bag of beans, I'll probably have different grind settings for those 2 machines on those beans, or even with the same bag. What I'm trying to say is, just make a coffee on whatever grind size you receive the machine at, and then adjust it accordingly. How do you adjust it? Like I said, if your coffee is taking too long, increase the grind size by a few numbers. If it's taking too little time, decrease the grind size by a few numbers. I'm going to use 22 because that's the one I used last. May or may not be correct for this instance, but we'll see. I've spoken for too long. My scale actually turned off. Let me turn it back on. Great. So I just put it there, press. Alright, that's what we got at the moment. Perfect. So see, machine remembers how much we ground last time. It's got this tamping lever. So when you press this down, it'll do two things. It'll press the coffee down into the machine, into the basket. So it'll compact everything, it'll spread everything nicely, but also it's going to measure. So it's going to measure how much is in there. If the machine senses that there's too little coffee, it'll prompt you to grind a bit more to top it up and make sure it's level. And if you have too much coffee in here, it'll also tell you. It'll tell you that there's too much coffee. And when that happens, you'll be able to know, because it's hard to show on camera. Let me bring my phone closer. So this is on the green line in the middle because it's perfect amount for this basket. If you have too little coffee, you'll have the bottom 3 dashes. So extremely little coffee, moderately little, slightly little coffee there. Green would be perfect amount, and then the lines above would be slightly excessive coffee, moderately excessive coffee, and too much excessive coffee. Anyway, it's two things to do. If it's too little, grind a bit more and tamp again to measure. The machine will actually determine how many seconds to grind for. It's very smart. So if it's very low, it'll grind for like 4 or 5 seconds to top it off. If it's only slightly low, it'll grind for maybe 1 or 2 seconds, very small adjustments. And also if you adjust, so say you have too little coffee and then you adjust it by grinding more, the machine will add up the previous grinds and add them into one main grind. So then the next time you make coffee, you're not going to do this step again. Next time you make coffee, it'll just go straight to the green line. That's what I did with this machine. When I changed my grind size and reset everything, it actually started by grinding a little bit. Then I tamped, and then it's like, the machine was like, you have too little coffee, grind a bit more. I grind a bit more, and then it asked me to tamp. I tamp again, and then slightly too little coffee. And then the third time, it ground half a second more, and after that half second, I tamp one more time, and it's perfect. And then the next day, what I did is I just started grinding the coffee, and it went for one long coffee session. One long coffee grind. And then when I pressed, it was perfect on the green line. That's the beauty of this machine, that it takes the guesswork out of, oh, how many seconds do I have to grind for? How long do I have to grind for? What grind size do I have to use? The machine will tell you how. Oh, actually, it'll take that out of the question. So it'll take care of how many seconds to grind for, and it will advise you if this shot is running too quick or too slow. Oh, that's a lot of talking. So we told you what happens if there's too little coffee. Let's tell you what happens if there's too much coffee. So if the coffee amount is on the 3 upper lines, it's probably that because there's too much coffee in here. And let me just put the phone back. There we go. In those scenarios, you can use the razor tool. The razor tool is this aluminium piece that comes with the machine. It will go inside the basket and remove the top layer of coffee. So you'll put it in here like this, and then you'll rotate it, preferably over a bin or the sink, and then rotate it. It will trim the top layer of excess coffee. And the machine will know this as well. So when it detects too much coffee, the next day you grind some coffee, it'll dial back, because it will know that, hey, yesterday you had too much coffee, or the previous coffee you had too much ground coffee. So it'll cut back on the timing on the grinder. Anyway, I'm just impressed by this Impress system. That's why I'm talking about it. But yeah, it'll make life so much easier. Enough about that. Next, just simply lock it in. Put it in the middle position, not too tight. I'm going to get rid of this water in my cup. You've got a hot water tap here in the top right corner. You press that and the machine will give you clean hot water straight from the tap. So you can use that for either like making a long black coffee. So there's long black settings that you could go into where the machine will give you espresso first and then hot water. And you can determine the length of the long black coffee, either medium, long, blah, blah, blah. In my scenario, I like to use a little bit of hot water to help my sugar dissolve. So because I add a little bit of sugar to my coffee, I like this hot water to dissolve the sugar so that it all mixes nicely when I brew the coffee. Same thing if you like to add sweetener like stevia or like syrups, flavored syrups. I recommend you do that now before you brew the espresso, so that when the espresso comes down, everything mixes nicely from the first instance. Now I'm going to reset my cup, my scale, so that we can measure the output. I just realized that we forgot to measure the input. My scale probably turned off again because I spoke for too long. But yeah, I've measured it multiple times. It's between 17 and 19 grams of coffee, depending on like the grind size and the bean type. But yeah, generally, let's say 18 is the average. So 18 grams in here, we want to be aiming a shot that is about 36 to 40 grams. Sorry to confuse you, but there's even more things you can mess with. So not only can you mess with the grind size, you can also mess with the grind amount. Sorry, not only can you mess with the grind size here on the left, you can also mess with the brew amount. So the brew amount is basically how many milliliters of water the machine will brew. So you can select a single quantity, a double quantity, an extra long quantity. What is it called? And there's like the ability to slide and select. So it goes from single to single plus to single plus 2 to double plus to double plus 2 to double plus 3. If that makes sense. So I'm not going to go to the single quantity nor the single plus 1. I'm going to go to the single plus 2. I've found that single plus 2 gives me about 40 mils of coffee, which is perfect for my use case. The double quantity is a bit too long. It'll give me too much coffee. So regardless of the grind size, this is gonna give you too much coffee. The way this machine works is that it measures how many mils go through the pump. So even if your grind size is too small or too large, it'll aim to give you that much coffee, if that makes sense. So you just make sure you have to have the correct amount here. This will dictate the final volume, okay? The setting here that you select will dictate the final cup volume in the cup, or the coffee amount in the cup. And the grind size will dictate how fast that volume happens. Hope that makes sense. This will dictate the speed of the brew. This will dictate the quantity of the brew. But also, this if you change the speed too much, it may also affect the quantity, if that makes sense. Going to the grind amount, sorry, the coffee amount, like I said, I'll select the single plus 2. And I'm going to save it there. You can select your photo, you can select your name on the cup, the custom cups that you make. I forgot to mention, yeah, because it's a touchscreen menu, you can like have multiple drink types. You can, that's the beauty of the automation. You can select how long it brews for. You can select how much hot water it gives you if you want that. You can select the milk temperature and frothing level. So it's very customizable. Alrighty, let's make coffee. Pay attention to the flow and the speed. It'll also give you a time readout, so it'll tell you how many seconds it's been brewing for. Looks like it's running a bit too quick. Maybe, maybe not. It's at 20 seconds now. Should stop soon. It's 27 seconds. Actually, that's pretty good. I spoke too quickly. I said that it was running too quick, but it probably was just perfect. There we go. So that was 27 seconds. And how much did we get? 40 grams. I kid you not. I'll show you what that 40 grams looks like. 39.3. Just under here, that's on this cup, it's 40 grams. Sorry about the mess here. But yeah, just about a couple centimeters. If you want to eyeball it, that's fine. You don't have to have a scale to make good coffee on this machine, but it's recommended. so you can know if you're following the correct recipes. Just like with cooking, you have to have a bit of an idea of how much ingredients to use. Yeah, so this is the perfect shot, I would say. Just straight away, I got a bit lucky, but maybe not really lucky because I've used this machine many times before and I've had this grind size setting with this exact same bean. By the way, the bean will affect how the quality of your coffee. If you have really cheap beans from most supermarkets, probably be not great tasting coffee. The only supermarket bean I would recommend is the Aldi brand. It's called Lazio. It's hard to read here. Lazzio, Lazio. They make really good beans roasted in Melbourne, and they're usually fresh. Most other supermarket brand beans are not fresh, and then what you'll notice with not fresh beans is you'll notice that the coffee will run too quickly. Even with a smaller grind size, it'll just run too quickly. It won't give you much crema, whereas I've noticed that the Aldi beans have been giving me good results for many years, and lots of people rave about them and commend them highly for their quality and affordability, I would say. That's all done. Tastes great, by the way, this shot. If you have time, do the cleaning, get your portafilter, just gently tap it into the bin, and it just falls right off. Barely tapped it there, actually. And then after you finish the coffee, flush is recommended. So just run some hot water through the group head. That's going to clean your group head shower screen. It's going to clean your portafilter. And if you're going to make another coffee, this is going to keep everything nice and warm, which is always good. Awesome. Let's do the milk. So you've got a couple options for the milk. You've got the option to do it manually. So if you flick the wand up, you'll see the word manual on the screen. That means you can froth manually like a barista. So holding the jug at an angle, making sure the milk is spinning in the jug, making sure the wand is at the right depth, not too deep, not too shallow. That way you can get really good results. Actually, excellent results, just like a barista would in a cafe. And you can even do latte art with the manual setting. The automatic setting is okay. It's quite easy. So you just put it down and you select, hopefully you've selected it before. I've selected froth level 8 and 60 degrees. The froth level here, you can even select the milk type. I'm not sure what the milk type does, so I guess it gives you different levels of foam for different levels of milk. There's different types of milk. But the froth level goes from 1 to 8, I believe. Let's put it on 6 or 5 even. So just to give you an idea what halfway means. I believe on the 8 it gives you too much foam, like it's very bubbly. But some people like that. So let's try number 5, 60 degrees Celsius, and I'm using full cream cow's milk. So it's going to give you the level of foam that you've chosen, and it'll stop at the temperature that you chose as well. The nice thing about this machine is that because it's automated, you can actually optimize your time by being very efficient. So you can do the milk while grinding the coffee, and then once you finish grinding, the milk will be finished and then you can brew straight away. So you can actually save a lot of time because it's hands off. Alright, great. Stopped on time. The wand is very easy to clean because it's a double wall insulated wand. So just get a damp piece of tissue. And it'll just wipe straight away. It's not even that hot, it's just mildly warm. Or on all the machines I used to use, or even the cafe machines, it's not insulated, of course. It's really hot wand. You have to really scrub hard with a wet cloth, whereas just a piece of tissue cleans it pretty easily. When you push it down, it will automatically clean. It'll spray some air and then some water into the wand tip to clean itself. Really important you let it do that. If you don't let it flush, the milk will stay in the tip, it'll harden, and then the next morning you'll have a milk clot that stops you from frothing your milk. There is a tool in the accessories tray that cleans, it's this, it cleans the holes if they ever get stuck, or even you can rinse it or soak it in hot water to soften the milk. But if you just clean it every day like I did, let it flush and then wipe it straight away, you probably wouldn't have milk build up in the long run. The milk is a bit bubbly, so to get rid of the bubbles, you knock the jug on the counter to break those big bubbles. And then swirl it around to mix. And like I said, each milk type will behave differently. So if you have one brand versus another brand versus light milk versus full cream milk, the machine will behave slightly differently. So it's important that you just test and try different settings and temperatures as well. I'm no barista, that's for sure. But a good barista will probably be able to get some milk textures here. Sorry, a good barista will be able to do some latte art. I find it with the manual setting to be a bit easier to do latte art. With the automatic setting, it's more for ease of use on the automatic setting and not for latte art. It's just like makes life so much easier. Yeah, but if you want full latte art, I would recommend the manual mode. This is what I managed to get. That was an attempt of a heart, a love heart, and I'm not sure what these squiggles are, but you can do some latte art on the automatic setting, but better on the manual setting. What's more important is that this is a good level of foam. Look at that, that's about 1 centimeter of milk foam. You can get more if you increase the level. So that was on level 5. Level 8 will probably be giving you this much foam, which is very thick for cappuccinos and people who like that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's the Breville Barista Touch Impress. Making a latte. Hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. I'm sure you'll love it. I've loved this machine. I've loved making coffee on it. And I'll be honest with you, it's not much. This new Oracle Jet is not much of an upgrade. It's just a mild upgrade for much more money. But because I sell coffee machines, I could get it for a bit cheaper. But yeah, it's an excellent machine. I think it's one of the best in the Breville lineup, and I hope you enjoy. Any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you later. Cheers.